So to set the scene, first of all, let me say I'm really honored to have this opportunity to interview you. I'm glad that our students can benefit from learning about your work. So to begin with, I was going to ask you if you could tell us a little bit more about SAPPROS and the organization, and what your primary goals have been, how they've evolved over time, perhaps.
Yes. Well, I just want to give you some background about setting up the SAPPROS, because I was working in a development bank for almost 26 years. And we were doing a lot of development work, mobilizing farmers, and also providing credit. This bank was set up by USAID Americans, back in 1963. The first visit that I had in US was in 1964. So I went to US to see farm cooperatives and all this. The government set up a bank. There I worked for almost 28 years, 8 years as executive, but I was trained in the US and came back, to run the bank. So after learning in the bank, I went to Planning Commission, which is the highest body, in 1991, which was chaired by the Prime Minister, So I had some overview of how government functions, And I also knew Eleanor Ostrom, who was with me. I met her in San Francisco. She was doing a lot of research on community mobilization, community organizations, And my work was also related to that, both in Planning Commission and also my earlier work in the bank. So once I went to the government, I saw government is not functioning. So we need some kind of alternative organization to mobilize the poor, and then organize them and provide support. They basically run a poverty alleviation program through the NGO. So we started in 1991 with some support with donors, As we moved along, in 1995, we had a Maoist insurgency. So almost whole country had insurgency. And it was very difficult for the government to really go to rural areas because they would not let you work, the government. So there was opportunity for NGOs to really go and mobilize community and provide support in terms of, new livelihood, food security, nutrition, community infrastructure, water supply, irrigation, and also food assistance. Because a lot of areas we were working with WFP to provide food assistance, Though we have had a lot of problems, some of our staff were kidnapped by Maoists.
Really?
So that went on for almost 10 years. From 95, 2006, there was a peace deal. And they also joined the government, then the election and all this. So that is how we started. We started small, but we grew big during the Maoist insurgency. Nobody could operate. We had several donors, So that was the story. Then in 2010, because of work in Maoist area and poverty and all this, we got Right Livelihood Award in 2010. Then we moved along, and we are almost 31 years old. Now we have several donors. Now the recent agenda that we have got is that we're promoting agenda called Make Nepal Green, which has got an important component. Make Nepal Green has got 4 components. One is promoting healthy food, doing organic, is one. Other is promoting green energy, mostly in our case, hydro and solar. Other part is promoting responsive tourism, ecotourism. Because you can link livelihood with tourism, good food, beautiful mountains, and you can attract. So that's the logic. Other is ICT for development. You need communication. Like I can communicate with you, through Zoom. We can make videos. We can make motivational videos, training videos. So using IT for training farmers. So these are the 4 components. And we pushed through. We had 2 seminars supported by Right Foundation. One in 2016, another in 2018. Then we had an earthquake in 2015, big earthquake, everything collapsed, 10,000 people died. So we had to really do a lot of recovery work, in the earthquake, building livelihood, building infrastructure. So we got involved with that. Still now we are in a recovery phase. Now we are getting into post-recovery of Corona.
Yeah.
Where we are now promoting healthy food. Say, look, you will get Corona if you have obesity, you get chronic disease. So if you change your diet, eat less meat, more fruits and vegetables, plant-based diet, then obesity, you will not get diabetes and all this. You will not be hit by Corona. Because my daughter is a medical doctor, trained endocrinologist in US. She is with me for last 20 years. And my two granddaughters are doing medicine here. They were born in US. So she is now pulling me to healthy food area and health.
Yeah.
That is what.
Oh, that's really interesting and so important in this current moment. So
yeah.
One thing that brings up that I think is really interesting for us to explore together is the way in which the communities that you're serving, that you're empowering with your work, they face these acute crises from time to time. They like the earthquake or now COVID.
Now we have COVID. Yeah.
But then what's sort of behind that, making it much more challenging an environment, is that they have all these chronic ongoing crises of poverty, of environmental crisis.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm wondering if and political crisis. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you kind of see all those crises coming together, how there's more background chronic problems kind of create a context where people experience.
Because in our case, the communities are more resilient and more organized. They are, as you said, that we have faced a very big crisis with earthquake. Almost 10,000 people died, 600,000 homes destroyed. Then once the government started supporting, the communities got energized. And they set up their own system of sharing and caring. The missions will help in building the house. They will get together. Then government will provide funding. So one of the core sort of strengths Nepal has got, that we have isolated community, but they have a lot of experience in building schools, building their own canals, running their whole health system. So that is the strength that we try to use it. So once you provide some kind of technological support, and link with the market, they immediately pick up. But we still have a lot of social capital, So that is though we have survived, unlike in US or where you have individualistic kind of approach. Here they will always, be together in the community, they help each other. So that is the advantage that we have got. So we want to use that. And then in addition, I must tell you, SAPPROS, what it did during the Maoist insurgency, we did a study of different what we call delivery models, like community, government, and all this, which are funded by World Bank. I led the sort of team. So during that time, World Bank set up a fund called Poverty Elevation Fund, which was initial grant was 15 million, ultimately it went to 200 million. So during almost 10 years, this money was used for mobilizing the community, organizing them, and providing support for building schools, water supply system, irrigation, farm credit, So that also strengthened the community. Then we had other funds also. So we had large intervention in terms of mobilizing communities. The other part which is very important after the new constitution was building local government, the municipality, village and village and town.
Working with the public sector.
Public sector, basically. But this was accountable to the people, not to the bureaucracy. So that was a big change. You had province and then you have federal. This has been going on last 6 years alone. So now we can clubbing together community with the municipality, and they are more accountable. So you have another kind of support coming in. So the political system has also opened up, and we are using that as opportunity to, but still, as you have said, we are going through the phase of vaccination during this corona. But we have problems with the inequity, we have problems with livelihood, which we have not addressed, So what is the future in terms of, we need more support for this green development, this healthy food security, nutrition, and livelihood. So the recovery part has to come in a big way so that we can use those institutions to bring a sort of the change that we desire, not in terms of imposed by somebody else.
Are you working with community health workers to educate about vaccines and to?
Yes. We have a recovery program where we have got a health component in terms of education, sanitary pads and all this, and then we have got a livelihood component where we provide, is called Leave No One Behind.
Leave no one.
So we try to target people with disability, old age, single women, indigenous communities, and Dalits. We provide grant funding. We provide the technology like how to build greenhouse so that they can produce their own food. Rest they will market. So we set up enterprises, not only enterprise, but home gardens, where they can produce their own food. In fact, I have also got home garden in my house, with a greenhouse and fruits and vegetables,
Yeah.
That we promote in terms of improving nutrition, food security, and then we also link them with the banks and cooperatives so that they can get more funding and expand their economic activity.
This has many connection points with the kinds of things that Nemo Bassi's organization, Health of Mother Earth Foundation, is pursuing in Nigeria. He's another
wonderful
livelihood laureate like yourself, and I see really interesting parallels and possibilities for collaboration as well. And I'm wondering if you think that there's a role for the Right Livelihood Network in sort of sharing information, sharing organization around these kinds of practices across borders.
Yes. No, this is the crucial part. We have not used our own strength within the Right Livelihood community, both in terms of laureates and also in terms of colleges. And that is the way forward. This one. The other part which I wanted to tell you that we have done a lot of work, but we now also need to collaborate in terms of doing research. Recently, we applied for a grant with the IDRC. They didn't give us. We had no background on research. We're doing good work on the ground. We can collaborate with you and then apply for a grant for doing research, And then we also link with the communication, like making motivational videos, training videos, So that is my idea. I'm also trying to build up collaboration within the country, with the banks, with the training center, so that we can scale up the sort of the green model that we have developed on the ground.
That sounds terrific. And
that's the key. That's the key. We need you.
Yeah, and so you see a role for our students that they what do they need to do to be useful to these kinds of efforts?
I've been getting a lot of boys and girls from Tata Institute, except the 2 years during the corona we have not gotten. They have been very useful in terms of really learning, also in terms of bringing new ideas to the community. So I was also getting motivated. When I went to Bombay, Swati invited me to speak to these guys. They all said, we all want. I said, I can't take 100, So I take only 4, So that's one part. Other part, I think we also need to bring in faculty members, doing more long-term research,
Yeah.
Why green model is important? Why do you need to move from chemical agriculture to regenerative agriculture? So that this is good for the environment and also good for the individuals because you get healthy food, So that is one area where nobody is funding. You have Monsanto funding research with GMOs and pesticide and all this, but no money going for sort of technology and research on regenerative agriculture or smaller agriculture. So that also we need to look into.
Right.
We have developed a lot of climate smart technologies, suitable for small farmers, which we can share. But we need to expand the sort of the basket so that we can solve all the problems that are on the ground.
Yeah, our students are so looking forward to also learning from the Swati Banerjee's students in Mumbai. And I think one of the things that some of them can bring from Santa Cruz here, that you see the landscape in the picture behind me here, but we have a little farm on our campus where where we have a lot of faculty and students involved in agroecological work.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Because my executive director in SAPPROS, he has got a PhD in agroecology from New Zealand.
Ah, right. Wonderful.
He is running the show. I am just mentoring, you see.
Well, you have an incredible network already, and I can see why. It's your openness to making these connections is very inviting. It's very inspiring, and all these things you've shared with us now are very inspiring for our students. So I want to end by saying we're very grateful to you. And thank you very much indeed for your time today.
Yes. Thank you.